An original star of The Office, a musical legend, and a beloved Bond girl. For some reason, these stars barely made a ripple in the media when they died in 2024. Emmet Walsh has been a cornerstone of the entertainment industry since getting his start in the 1960s. He's one of those actors that everyone knows and everyone has seen, usually in a supporting but key role. He's probably most famous for Ridley Scott's Blade Runner.
I need the old Blade Runner. I need your magic.
Known for his acting skills as much as for his sense of humor, in 2017 he told The Hollywood Reporter that when the cast and crew of Blade Runner saw the finished product for the first time, they were all completely baffled by it. He said, "We didn't know what to say or to think or do. We didn't know what in the hell we had done. The only one who seemed to get it was Ridley." The conversation came around the release of Blade Runner 2049, and even more hilariously, he said, "If someone sends me a free ticket, I would probably go see it, but I don't know if I would spend $11 or whatever it is to see it." Walsh had well over 200 credits to his name and worked right up to his death in 2024. It's safe to say that when he died, Hollywood lost one of their great go-to character actors. His death was covered by a handful of publications, but given his massive contributions to the industry, the coverage wasn't nearly enough. When he died on March 19th, he was just a few days from celebrating his 89th birthday. The official cause of death was cardiac arrest. Formed in 1965, the Scorpions has gone through an almost ridiculous number of lineup changes, with only one member staying through it all. Kingdom Come drummer James Kottak held the drumsticks for the Scorpions from 1996 until he was fired from the band in 2016. At the time he was fired, guitarist Matthias Jabs made a public statement about his alcohol addiction, saying, "We reached the point, or he reached the point, where it was just not worth it." Kottak died on January 9th, 2024. The following day, Kottak's Kingdom Come bandmate, Keith St. John, confirmed his death and clarified that no cause was immediately given. He did say that Kottak had recently completed rehab, adding, "He went through his ups and downs, obviously, and in the end, it seemed like he was really trying to pull it back together." Charles Dierkop had more than 100 acting credits to his name, and although he was working well into the 21st century, he was most famous for his work decades prior. In addition to being an occasional guest star on shows like MacGyver and Fantasy Island, he was a regular star of Angie Dixon's Policewoman and had major roles in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and The Sting. Fans of cult classic horror will be familiar with him too. He was the murderous Santa at the beginning of Silent Night, Deadly Night.
What's the matter? You don't like Santa Claus?
In 2017, he spoke with StarTrek.com and said he was happy to be able to pick and choose what roles he did take, and although he tended to pass on big events and conventions, he always appreciated fans, and was shocked the first time he realized people recognized him from his one-episode appearance as Morla. Dierkop passed away on February 25, 2024. The official cause of death was a heart attack that he suffered after developing a severe case of pneumonia. His daughter told Entertainment Weekly, "I got to spend most of his last days with him in the hospital and was able to thank him for showing me how to live life in the most loving way." The musical landscape of the 1980s was a vast and varied free-for-all of experimentation and creativity. Fans of the R&B funk scene will remember the Gap Band, a groundbreaking group that got their start performing in Tulsa's Pentecostal church scene. Topping the charts in the late 1970s led to crossing over into the pop scene in the 1980s, and the band continued to put out genre-defining music in the following decades. Anthony Walker joined in 1979 and was known as Baby Gap. He died on March 4th, 2024, but it wasn't until March 12th that TMZ picked up on an announcement that the band had made on March 8th. When they reached out to the family, they confirmed that Walker had died after experiencing complications from surgery. No specifics were given beyond the fact that he had been hospitalized for something involving his neck. When Fritz Wepper died on March 25, 2024, his passing was picked up by only a handful of media outlets in the United States. That's both surprising and not surprising. Most of his recent credits were in European productions, but the German actor's most famous role is in a film that's as beloved as it is well known to Americans. He starred with Liza Minnelli in the Oscar-winning Cabaret. The 82-year-old actor was diagnosed with sepsis, a full-body infection that was deemed life-threatening in 2023, had entered hospice care, and ultimately died from the prolonged illness. He was survived by his brother, wife, and daughters. Although Wepper's death might not have gotten much attention in the US, in his home country he was a multi-award-winning actor, the star of several long-running television shows broadcast in more than 100 countries, and a cultural icon. Would the world have had Stevie Ray Vaughan had there been no W.C. Clark? Perhaps not. Vaughan's mentor was perhaps best known as the godfather of Austin blues, playing in a host of blues bands that included his own, the W.C. Clark Blues Review. When he passed away on March 2nd, he was 84 years old and had played his final show just about 2 weeks prior. His manager confirmed to the Austin Chronicle that he died just days after being diagnosed with cancer, although that wasn't immediately identified as the cause. He was still regularly performing until not long before his death, not only holding the occasional show, but sitting in residency at an Austin venue called Giddy Ups. In a 1998 interview, Clarke shared his thoughts on what he believed was the secret to incredible music: respect, studying the history of the genre, and learning from those who had gone before. The acting resume of Pamela Salem reads like a what's what of British television and includes Doctor Who, EastEnders, and The Professionals. She's also part of one of the strangest parts of James Bond lore. She played Miss Moneypenny in Never Say Never Again, the Sean Connery Bond film that isn't considered to be technically a canon Bond film.
I'm to eliminate all free radicals.
Oh. Do be careful.
Salem said in an interview with 007 magazine that it was Connery who suggested her for the part after they worked together in The Great Train Robbery. Salem also confirmed that she would love to play Moneypenny again, but that came with a caveat. She explained, "Of course, it matters a great deal who is playing Bond. I think the whole style of the film stems from who is in the lead. I mean, I like Roger Moore as Bond, but I'm an original Connery fan." Of course, more Connery-led Bond movies weren't in the cards, but Salem remained incredibly popular. She wrapped up her career with voice work in projects like 2019's Doctor Who: The Legacy of Time, where she reprised her role from decades earlier. Salem died on February 21, 2024. She was 80 at the time of her passing, and although reports were picked up by a handful of news outlets, there were few details released. There are some classic TV and movie titles that will bring a wave of nostalgia with their mere mention. Anyone from Gen X will remember Ron Harper as the star of 3 massively popular television shows: Land of the Lost, Garrison's Gorillas, and Planet of the Apes. He had over 50 film and TV credits going all the way back to the mid-1950s, and when he died on March 21, 2024, it was at the age of 91. His death was ruled as stemming from natural causes. In 2015, Harper sat down for an interview with Classic Film and TV Cafe, who shared some pretty interesting stories about him. His career as an actor almost didn't happen, as he enrolled in Princeton with the goal of becoming an attorney. He dabbled in theater during his time there, and his life goals were completely derailed by a backstage visit and conversation with none other than Albert Einstein, who advised him, "You'll have a good life if you decide to do what you love." Apparently, that was all Harper needed to hear, and he decided to pursue acting.
Great way to make a living. That's why we're doing it.
Although Lachelle Boss Laws was a pioneering, groundbreaking artist, her death was surprisingly not covered too far outside of the industry. When she signed to Def Jam in 1992, she became one of their first female rappers signed during the golden age of rap, and she hit the scene in a big way. The Detroit-born Laws headed to Los Angeles to get her career off the ground and soon scored a hit with her 1993 album Born Gangstas. When she spoke with the Los Angeles Times, she said that was only the start of her plans for her career. She wanted to open the door for other female rappers. Specifically, she wanted to see more of those artists who embraced the genre in the same way she did. She said, "I'm the first female gangsta to do stuff men can relate to. That's crucial in rap. I talk from a woman's point of view, but I talk hard and tough. And I'm convincing. My heart, soul, and everything else is in my raps." Although she never released another studio album, Boss stayed active in the music industry and co-hosted a Dallas radio show for years. Laws died on March 11, 2024 at the age of 54 from kidney failure. Laws had suffered from severe health issues for some time, and after suffering a stroke in 2017, she was diagnosed with renal disease. Harry Johnson had over 70 official credits to his name, but only a small fraction of his roles featured him on screen. Although it's pretty much a guarantee that anyone who's watched TV in the last few decades has seen, or at least heard, his work. After starting out in the original Battlestar Galactica series, he appeared in shows like BJ and the Bear and MASH, all the way through Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Cold Case, and that's just credited work. He was also a prolific voice actor, and in addition to doing work on various video games and advertisements, his voice was used in more than 2,000 episodes of various television shows. Johnson died on January 2, 2024 at the age of 81. Details about his death weren't released, although Deadline reported that it had been the result of a protracted illness. News coverage of Ewen MacIntosh's death was bigger in the UK than in the US. MacIntosh was best known as one of the original cast members of The Office, playing the hilariously deadpan accountant Big Keith Bishop. Unfortunately, post-show life wasn't as successful for him as it was for some of his co-stars, and he was pretty straightforward about losing out on jobs that were even advertised as being Keith-like. MacIntosh declared bankruptcy in 2016 in spite of making a handful of appearances in various British comedies like Little Britain and Afterlife. In interviews, he was honest about feeling both fortunate to have played Keith and a little sad that he was typecast as a result.
Not for me, I like it.
When it was announced that MacIntosh had died on February 19, 2024, it was also announced that he had been facing health issues for some time. Although he posted to social media in 2022 to say that he had been hospitalized with undiagnosed health issues, it's unknown if that was a factor, as his cause of death wasn't specified. He was 50 years old.